I am a yoga teacher, and last week in my classes I was exploring a lot of contralateral movement, which is kind of just a fancy way to say cross-body fascial chains and cross-body muscular chains, which also sounds a little bit fancy. It's essentially diagonal movement or patterning inside the body, so being able to connect opposite hips to shoulders, things like that. And it just made me think of so many things, really came into my mind, and physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And just on a somatic level, on a body level, we have the left and right hemispheres of our brain and our body, and that connection is contralateral. So we have the left hemisphere of our brain, which is our place for logic, reasoning, rationality, analysis, intellectualization. Is probably what you're using to comprehend what I'm saying right now. Then this part of the hemisphere of the brain really is what governs the right side of the body. So all the way from your right eye to right nasal passage, all the way down the right channel of the body. And you'll find that for most of us, the right side of the body is our dominant side. So you will, I hold my phone with my right hand. You will probably write with your right hand. You'll probably shake hands with your right hand. If you're going to kick a ball, you'll probably kick a ball with your right foot and leg. So then, the right hemisphere of our brain is responsible for creativity, imagination, and even things like emotional receptivity. So it's probably what you're using to listen to the tone of my voice, observe my facial expressions, gestures, and that's providing you different points of data and information too. And so the right hemisphere of the brain governs the left hemisphere of the body. So from the left eye to the left nasal passage, all the way down the whole left side of the body, right? And I tend to find that for most of us, our left side is a bit more of our passive or soft or gentle side. I tend to, as you can see, I'm really expressing myself with my left hand. I'll use my left side body to carry things, to hold things, or also nurturing. I do that more with my left side as well. So those are ways that we can understand. If I'm going to pick up a little one, I'll probably pick them up and hold them on my left side, right? So these are ways that you can kind of interpret, even just physically, somatically, these polarities inside of our body that want to connect contralaterally. Now, something else that's interesting is if you've ever had an injury or just ever felt a sense of tightness or stiffness reoccurring inside the body, let's say in one hip or one shoulder or down one side of your back, those kind of things, I think what you'll find is that more often than not, pain like that is actually due to contralateral weakness or instability or another injury. So let's say if you have a weakness in one of your ankles, then you'll find your opposite. So if I have a weakness in my left ankle, I'll find that my right knee might end up, or my right hip might end up getting very tight or getting very sore and uncomfortable because it's really taking on the weight or redistributing energy that I'm trying to protect my left ankle from, right? So, and this is really common, and a lot of people are not so aware that that's the case. So if that's you, anytime that you feel pain in one side of your body and not the other, it's worth really considering how it is that you've been moving or how it is that you choose to move on a regular basis, and where perhaps there are imbalances and instabilities inside these contralateral chains or opposing parts of the body, right? Then it also brings us into some of the, the yogic teachings of pranayama, which pranayama is the shaping of your breath or the shaping of prana, life force. And one really common breath practice that I worked through in my class last week, and it's a really common practice, is called Nadi Shodhana, alternating nostril breathing. It is essentially alternating the breath in and out of both nasal passages, right? Alternating. I won't explain exactly how to do it right now, but can explore that. And essentially, it's considered a cleansing practice, balancing, purification, and that is because it neutralizes the left and right hemispheres of the brain, of the body, and even our left and right pranic channels, which are known as Ida and Pingala. So we have left and right pranic channels, and we have our central channel. So I want you to just think, it's really fun and really interesting. It's like right now, just sitting here as you are or wherever you are, you will, if you check through both of your nasal passages and you check which one is more available, you'll find that generally speaking, there is one where breath flows more easily, and that is at any moment in time. You should find that. Now, sometimes breath flows really freely and equally through both nasal passages, and this is a really good sign. It's not a bad sign otherwise, but when the breath is flowing freely through both, that's really nice. Now, generally speaking, you'll find that the breath is flowing through one more than the other. And this can signify where your body's at, where your mind is at, where your nervous system or your state is at. So if you feel that you have a little bit more breath really available into your right nasal passage, remember, the right side is governed by the left hemisphere of the brain. So logic, analysis, reasoning, all of those kind of things that really, I need to restructure. So when the right side is really open, you'll find that maybe it's signifying that you are a little bit more alert, a little bit more active. You might be a little bit more in your sympathetic nervous system. You might be a little bit more awake, engaged mentally, physically, something like that. And then if you find that your left nasal passage is a little bit more available for prana and breath to move through, you'll probably find that your body or your mind are a little bit more gentle, a little bit more ready for rest. You are probably accessing more of your parasympathetic nervous system. There's something that's deeply soft and relaxed inside the body. And again, that's governed by the right side of your brain, right? Now, what's really interesting is that we cannot always move with what our body needs at the time. So you might be feeling that your body is really wanting to rest, that left nasal passage is stimulated, and your body wants to restore. But you might not have the time. You might have things that you need to show up for, activities that you need to do, places you need to be. So through the shaping of prana, through the shaping of breath or movement, we can cultivate energy in the direction that we need to go, right? And likewise, if you are a little bit overactive and your body needs to calm down, get ready for sleep or more emotional things or softer things, then again, we can shape and carve and direct prana and energy pathways to go in that direction. So Nadi Shodhana is considered a cleansing practice, cleansing pranayam, because it purifies the left and right hemispheres of the brain and body and brings us back into a state of equilibrium. And I find that contralateral movement will do the same. So that's why I incorporated both of these in my class last week. So what that looks like is really harmonizing our left and right fields, bringing them online together, bringing them into integration, acknowledging our polarity and acknowledging our duality and bringing them into Sushumna Nadi, the central channel, the channel of stability, equilibrium, kind of like homeostasis, right? This really nice balanced place. So I think that we'll find that our body and our mind and our brain and our pranic channels really do crave this feeling, really crave this sense of integration, this sense of synergizing, where these dualistic sides and these polarities can really have a strong relationship. And that's what I find contralateral movement, patterns, pathways, alternating nostril breathing, they are things that can help us access that. So we are psychosomatic beings. What we do to the soma, to the somatic, to the body, we do to our psyche as well. So having practices that bring about, yoga just isn't about just stretching or just getting exercise or mobility. It really is for the purpose of directing prana, channel energy, in specific directions that are going to be supportive for our well-being, our overall well-being, whatever it is that you need to achieve moment to moment, and being able to be receptive to that, have that language, have those communication pathways, have that neural patterning, that because everything wants to be connected. We have all these ways that our body, our physiology, our biology, our energetic field, it is natural for these pathways to exist, but we live in a society where they become disconnected and disengaged, and we forget how to use them, and we lose access to what is really innate for us. So I think it's very important that we continue to practice the capacities of our body and our energetic field so that we sustain and preserve this access, and we can continue coming back into that state of equilibrium, balance, and harmony. It also made me think about the way that when we experience polarity in our life, sometimes we get really judgmental towards ourselves. So if you've ever felt two things at once that felt contradictory, you will find that there is a conflict inside the self, and we start to have judgment, and we start to think, I should feel this way and I shouldn't feel this way. And I really find that does us no service. So being able to make peace with our own contradictions and our own polarities, and when we feel many things at once, that is our natural state. That is a part of our humanity. There's no denying it. And so why reject, and why shame or have judgment of that existence, right? You can feel excited and nervous at the same time. You can feel really committed to something and still feel afraid, You can feel lost and yet have deep faith. You can be grieving and still happy in your life. And, some of these feelings, when we feel them all at once, it's confronting, right? And again, so driving us, pulling us away from judgments and creating more conflict in the polarity, and creating more tension inside the polarity, and actually drawing back into the acceptance of the integrated self, and bringing these polarities back into harmony, back into balance, back into harmonic resonance, where they can exist at once in integrity, right? I think this is very important. And so, the next time that you start to feel conflicting or contradictory emotions or thoughts around something, trust in that process. Trust that when you really accept that, they can really find their way to come back into a nice balanced state and a state of equilibrium. Because feeling many things at once does not have to be chaos, right? We make it chaos. The more that we resist, and the more that we judge and feel conflicted inside. So it is possible to feel many things at once and it not be chaos, but rather be an integrated form of self, right? Where we are accepting, and we're sincere, and we're honest, and we're holding everything in the same hands. And we learn how to do that gracefully and navigate that well. And we learn that through movement, through yoga practice, that asking such deep engagement from these contralateral sides of our body. And it requires a lot of balance, internal integrity, and a lot of patience, because it's not that easy. when we take our alternating nostril breathing, Nadi Shodhana, two things really happen at once. One is that the mind is required to be in awareness, focused. We must focus on the pattern, follow the pattern for it to take place, right? And then at the same time, the other thing that's happening, the second thing that's happening, is that the body starts to relax. And so I find that meditation, yoga, a lot of practices can provide that for us, that place where two things exist at once. Oh my gosh, excuse me. Yeah. Where we are fully connected.